Shotgun formation for Zappi. Fake the handoff. Looking to his left. He will throw. Looking end zone. Great grab. Hunter Henry extends for the touchdown. Perfectly executed by the Pats.
Perfectly executed by the Pats, a statement that has not been uttered very often during the 2023 season. Last night, a far different Patriots team, a team that showed up to play on a short week with nothing to play for, a couple of touchdowns from Hunter Henry on his 29th birthday, and here we are, the Steelers making the worst kind of history. We'll get into that and everything else as we unpack the first game of Week 14. Peter, based on your presence in Pittsburgh this morning, I will assume you were at the game, so you're in a position to give us some insight above and beyond what we saw on TV. And what we saw on TV from the perspective of the Steelers was not good.
Yeah, Mike, a couple of interesting things I thought, being in the stadium. And I'm not sure. I'm never sure what people can actually hear at home or whatever, but it did not take that crowd long to turn on Mitchell Trubisky. And I walked in the locker room after the game last night, and Trubisky, was just kind of staring into space. He looked really despondent. And if you're the Steelers right now, you have taken, in essence, a 7-4 record that you thought pretty confidently a week ago was going to be 9-4 soon. You're playing 2-10 teams at home, and you get swept. And to me, I am borderline kind of stunned at the results, but I don't think if you actually watch the games, you could be that surprised. The quality of quarterbacking by the Steelers is putrid. And that really is, above all, you can talk about individual players and Deontay Johnson loafing and Pickens not coming through or such and such on the defense. Yeah, you can do that. This is a quarterback issue for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think they can recover. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. And, whether or not the somewhat significant record in the media of Mike Tomlin never having a losing record, whether that falls, who really cares? They got 4 games left. And to me, the only thing that matters is whether they can salvage this and somehow go to Indianapolis next Saturday and figure out a way to somehow beat the Colts. And otherwise, it's a grim scene for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, you got the Colts in that middle game of the mid-December triple-header next week. They've got the Bengals the following Saturday on NBC and Peacock, and then trip to Seattle, trip to Baltimore to end the season. Every team they face is going to be trying to improve their playoff position, except for maybe Baltimore if they somehow lock up the number 1 seed and they pull their starters like they did 4 years ago. But the team they were playing last night had nothing to play for either. That's what makes this so amazing. For the first time in the 100-plus year history of the NFL, a team that was over 500 lost back-to-back games against teams at least 8 games under 500. Now, that's not an opportunity that's going to arise very often to have it line up that way. But for the Steelers to lose 4 days apart at home to the 2-10 Cardinals, followed by the 2-10 Patriots, really is astounding and, in the eyes of many Steelers fans, unforgivable. They blame everyone. And the anti-Mike Tomlin crowd is going to be activated in the aftermath of the last 2 games. You're right, the quarterback play hasn't been great. Are they going to be willing to pivot to someone else after the season? Will they admit that Kenny Pickett doesn't do anything that is sufficiently spectacular to justify a 3rd season? Do they think that maybe there can be a new offensive coordinator who could get more out of him? I don't know. These are all questions that Art Rooney's going to have to figure out after this season. But this is as bad as it gets. For a team that still has a winning record, this is as bad as it gets. And I think there is some significance to a guy who's been the head coach of the team since 2007, never having a losing record. He's got to go 2-2 to preserve that. You look at these next 4 games, and you look at how they played the last 2 games. 2-2 seems like a stretch. And I know they're always capable of turning it around, and they're saying all the right things. We're going to go back to work. We're going to go back to work. Well, going back to work hasn't done much for you the past week. I don't know what going back to work is going to do unless you start working differently. They have to do things differently, and I feel like that's their biggest flaw. Yeah, they fired Matt Canada, and things changed a little bit, but I just feel like they have a hard time adjusting on the fly once they're into a season. The season is what it is, and we just keep chopping wood, and maybe the tree's going to fall the right way, maybe the tree isn't, but all we know is to just keep chopping.
You know, Mike, I don't want to lay this on any one person because it isn't really one person's fault, but I do want to just point out a couple things. And listen, by the way, we'll get to the Patriots. I understand that, you know, a lot of times we get on the show on Friday and we just absolutely beat the losing team over the head for 40 minutes. So, you know, but in this particular case, the losing team of this game lost for the second time in 5 days at home against a team that entered the game with a 2-10 record. That is astounding. And I want to point out just 2 things about Mitchell Trubisky. Mike, I don't know what you saw when you watched the game last night, but what I saw is a quarterback who, for the most part, is playing with zero confidence. Zero. You know, he's tentative. He short arms the ball. He very rarely, like on the 2-point conversion to Freiermuth last night to make it 21-18, that ball was thrown like a dart. But very rarely did he throw footballs like that last night. He was mostly tentative, a little bit tight, and otherwise he just really didn't seem to play with any confidence at all. Here's that dart. I mean, how many balls like that did you see last night? 3, 4? I don't know. Not many. But in this game, all right, he threw 1 interception early that was called back on defensive pass interference. He threw his pick that counted into triple coverage that led to the short field touchdown by the Patriots. And then he had a 3rd pick dropped by J.C. Jackson, all in the first 20 minutes of the game. And, you know, Mike, I don't know about you, but I watched this game last night, and I felt like once that happened and the Steelers ended up getting up 21-3, it really felt like it was almost garbage time for the rest of the game. And the Steelers were fighting uphill. And yeah, they had a chance to win late. They certainly did. But expecting Trubisky to make enough plays to actually make you win is very unrealistic, at least to me. Now, Mike, I do want to talk about one play, the play that I thought lost the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, it was the last play of the 3rd quarter. The Steelers had 3rd and 9 at their 15-yard line. And so Mitchell Trubisky should know where he has to get get the first down. And instead of putting your nose down, diving for the ball and diving for the first down and taking a huge hit, which he knew that it was 3rd down. He had to get the first down. Look at him start to go down at the 8.5-yard line. You can't do that. You have got to go for the first down. That is the play, in my mind, that cost this team the game. If he dives for the ball, a competitive play, I think I don't know whether he's going to make it, but he's going to be extremely close. And then the next play, obviously, they need 2 yards. They don't get it. And, although the game wasn't over per se, look at this. Why? You've got no instinct as a quarterback. And I looked at it and I just said, why? Why? And so I don't know, Mike. Again, I don't want this to come down all on one person. But my feeling after watching the game last night is that this season's going to end poorly for the Steelers. And not that it really matters, but Mitchell Trubisky will be somewhere else next year.
First of all, there are some Friday mornings where I'll agree. We spend a lot of time chewing the meat off of the bone as it relates to the team that lost the game because it gives us more to talk about, and it's juicy and it's interesting. To the neglect of the team that won, I have a feeling there aren't a lot of Patriots fans clamoring to the TV or the radio this morning to hear about how their team went to 3-10. So I think we're safe this morning doing the thing that the Steelers fans out there want to hear. What the hell is wrong? How is it going to get better? When is it going to get better? And is there any hope? And Peter, I agree with you about Mitch Trubisky. Now, we know by now, even though I hear stories from time to time about people who go to a game and say, hey, where's that yellow line? The yellow line can't be seen when you're at the game, but the big orange sticks can be seen. And before the play,
you've got to know
how far you have to go. You know how far you have to go, and he's been in the league since 2017. And, he hasn't played a lot lately, but you prepare yourself every week to play. He was talking a big game. We played the sound yesterday. Sounded like a guy who was ready to go out and light up the scoreboard, and ultimately didn't, not nearly enough for the Steelers to win. But there is one thin, very thin, but it's there, silver lining in this dark cloud. The fact that the Steelers fell behind 21-3. They're not a team that's built to come back. The fact that they almost did is encouraging to me. In a night that is overwhelmed with discouragement, the one thing I can point to is they found a way to make it a game. They found a way to make it close. Now, it's another example of the Steelers having a horseshoe, a shamrock, a four-leaf clover inserted in a place where those things ordinarily wouldn't go, with the interception that set up the short field that culminated in the failed fourth down, then the blocked punt that gave them another chance at the touchdown that made it 21-18. Their luck ran out, and we'll talk about the one play in particular that short-circuited what seemed to be a potentially promising late-game drive. But they did rebound from a game that felt lost and over and done. And that's encouraging. Not that you want to see them in that situation on a regular basis, and not that I feel like they'd be able to pull a victory out of those circumstances, but the fact that they made it close made me think, okay, maybe they can find a way to come back from more than one score down, because typically with the Steelers, if they're two scores down, they're done. They're not built to come back.
Right.
They almost did. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.